Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Movies with Ron.
All right.
My name is Chris. I'm your MC for the time being. Now, you know the drill. Every week, Ron goes to the movies, and he recaps the movie from beginning to end for us, because we like his versions better, don't we? Now, guys, what do we think of Jack Reacher Never Go Back? Rick, did you watch the first one?
No.
Okay. My opinion is, at some point during the production of that, the sequel to...
John Wick.
No. I'll let you continue that after I finish. Edge of Tomorrow 2 got greenlit, and Tom Cruise was like, all right, let's get this shit over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I also feel like he started making that, and he might have just then found out about John Wick 2, and he was like, well, if Keanu's going to go off and do more of that shit, I mean, did you see that first one? That was amazing. If he's going to make a sequel to that one, why should we even fucking try?
Should he even have made that sequel? I don't think so.
Nope.
No. And that leads us to our next game.
I was actually just wondering how Tom Cruise goes and sees a Keanu Reeves movie.
I don't think Tom Cruise sees movies.
No?
No.
You don't think he walks in a jacket and a hat, kind of like
No.
drawn low?
I think he is 30% of the time he's on a movie set, and then the other 70 he's like getting his midi chlorons read by some fucking high
e-meters
elder
and shit.
Yeah. But okay.
And being told how clear he is.
Fucking after the recap, all right? This is our game. Each one of us is going to pitch a sequel that Tom Cruise should have done of one of his movies instead of Jack Reacher Never Go Back. Now, that is not including movies he's already done that have sequels and Live, Die, Repeat. So, stay tuned after the recap.
All right.
Okay, I was thinking about this just now. This is on the fly. You know how old movies, not old, but 80s and 90s, had a lot of scenes of the bad guy falling from a high place?
Yeah, in slow
From a
motion.
rooftop. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it, I know you did the Die Hard thing, and that was a good one.
Yeah.
Did a pretty good job, but a lot of movies did that, and it looked like crap.
All right. Example.
Yeah, RoboCop.
He fell? Oh,
RoboCop was a 99.9% amazing movie, but it does not trump Die Hard because of that falling scene at the end.
Oh, my God.
Where his arms are like 10 feet long, and he's like...
Yeah.
It's even so good up until that point where he's like, Dick, you're fired.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then shoots him. But he falls, and it's like a claymation man with really long arms, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, nowadays, we have the technology to make that perfect, but we never see it.
Yep.
Yeah. No bad guys fall from rooftops anymore or out of windows
what do we
from
see now?
skyscrapers.
Has it been replaced with anything? Do we think? Is there anything that we see a lot of? Is it just shooting or?
I don't know, like they blow up or something.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. But even, like, RoboCop was, when was that made? 80s?
Yeah, late 80s.
God, even GoldenEye had a bad one.
Yeah.
When Trevelyan fell. It was like, ah!
Yeah, see, I was trying to remember other ones. I couldn't. I just thought of RoboCop. And
There was the Michael Keaton's Batman. Didn't Joker fall? Yeah, and that was a weird one because it didn't happen in slow motion. So you didn't see it. It was just like a fucking quick whoop right by, and you just like.
It's like a green screen and a very fast shrinking of a man.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about that. Like,
Cheap.
They don't do it, you know? And it could look perfect. We've got the CGI.
Yeah.
We've got the technology. All right. Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
The original director who made Deadpool 1.
Uh-huh.
Hats off to him. Made a good movie.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah. He was slated to make Deadpool 2, and he recently got fired.
Wow, for what?
I don't know. I think creative differences, and I think it was Ryan Reynolds that got him fired.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, we love Ryan Reynolds so much.
Oh, yeah.
He is Deadpool.
Yeah, he's the golden
but
boy.
Who do we side with here, you know? I mean, I guess you have to side with Ryan Reynolds, but I don't know what we're going to get with the sequel now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
All right. Hey, Rick,
Yo.
seen anything lately?
I have seen Silver Bullet.
Yeah. We watched that for Halloween.
Hey, cool. Where the hell was I for this?
You chose not to hang out.
I was tired or sick or something. Sorry.
Silver Bullet's a damn good movie, right?
Yeah, it is.
That
Yeah,
was
it is, man.
that was the last of the good Gary Busey before he went all Amazon TV stick on us. And good.
You're telling me Point Break, you didn't like Gary Busey in Point Break. That was the last good Gary Busey.
I'm just saying, Amazon TV stick is like the crazy Gary Busey.
Oh, yeah.
Point Break came after that.
After Silver Bullet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Apparently, he was in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Messed up his brain. We should have him on the show.
Oh, my God. Yes.
All right, Rick.
He's
Silver
probably gonna
Bullet.
show up at our fucking door after you just saying that.
Hey, you guys. It's me. TV stick.
So, yeah, I found it on Vudu. I bought
Fucking great performances all around in that movie, right?
it. Oh, yeah.
Fucking jeez. You know what? You know what I love about Silver Bullet?
Hmm.
Now, I don't want to give much away. I want people to see it because I think it's kind of a forgotten movie. But
Yeah.
the scene, it's a werewolf movie, and there's a scene where all the hunters are gathering in the bar,
Yeah.
and you've got that whole definition of what is that justice thing?
Private Justice.
Private justice, right? So
Yeah.
it's all the posse is gathering at the bar, and then they're like, let's go get that fucking beast, and everyone's storming out of the bar, and there's a song playing. This is my favorite scene. It goes outside the bar, everyone's getting in their trucks. This is the most choreographed scene in that, and then you have the preacher
Yeah.
comes in, and he's trying to stop everyone. He's like, no, what are you doing? Don't do this. And he's trying to stop everyone. He's banging on their car doors. He's getting in front of them. Headlights are everywhere. The sun's going down. The moon's coming up.
Yeah.
They're going to find a werewolf. And the fucking preacher's is like, oh my God, don't. I fucking love that scene, man.
Yeah?
It's so good. And finish the movie, you realize how powerful that scene is.
Oh, yeah.
What else is great about that movie? Fucking the bald dude.
Oh,
The
yeah.
kid's dad.
Oh, yeah.
When
He tore him apart.
Oh my God.
He tore my son to pieces.
But no, you actually, when we were watching it, he was looking for his son, and he hasn't come home yet. It just cuts to the sheriff, and he's walking away from some park.
Yeah.
He's walking away with a kite, and the kite is bloody.
Oh yeah. Good image in that movie. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Mary, Mother of God," and he's praying,
Yeah.
"And blessed be our children." And then the father rolls up, and he runs up to it, up to a body. It's covered with a blanket, and he pulls a blanket,
Yeah.
and it's his son, but it never moves onto his son.
Yeah.
You
And
mentioned this.
for a surprisingly gory film, that's the one scene when it shows the underage kid, and for good reason, but it makes it so much more powerful. And the actor who's playing the kid's father does it 100%.
Yeah,
Like,
they never show the
He
kid.
sells it.
They
Yeah.
just show the father's face, and he's losing his shit
Yeah.
as soon as he pulls a blanket.
I remember watching that movie and being just scared because of that father character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was intense. Weird part, you're never on the shoulder of the werewolf, except in one part, which is where you see the werewolf's dream, and then he wakes up as a man.
Yeah.
He has a nightmare, and he wakes up, and he's in a cold sweat. And you're like, holy shit, is he the werewolf? But it's like, that's the only inkling you get. That's all they show you. Anyways, Silver Bullet, good movie. I posted something on the Facebook.
The Facebook?
Yeah. Movies with Ron on the Facebook. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, in case you were wondering, people. John Candy. Remember John Candy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. His birthday was on Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Hell yeah.
yeah. There's an article. Someone went and interviewed his children. He has a son and a daughter who are like in their 30s now, and they both look just like him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They're like actors, I think. They're just telling stories about John Candy. Yeah, apparently, he owned a farm, and he had 4 horses on the farm. 2 of them were named Peaches and Cream. Another one of the horses was named Uncle Buck.
That's cool.
Yeah. And apparently, according to his children, the most like John Candy that you can see
Yeah.
in the movies that is truly John Candy is Uncle Buck.
That's cool.
Yeah. And apparently he loved working on John Hughes movies.
Yeah, that was a good one, man.
Yeah. Which got me in the mood about my recommendation. We saw this one in the theater.
Hell yeah.
It's got Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy. I mean, what's there not to like?
I know, man.
It's even got Tupac in this movie.
Yep. Tupac, alive and on screen.
It is 1991's Nothing But Trouble.
Love it.
Yeah.
You seen that one?
Endlessly quotable.
Oh, really? Throw some quotes at me.
Hey, banker! I don't know.
Oh, they'll pay for the way they sapped this ground. That's why I never let a banker go.
I've been over her for weeks. Okay, a lot of directors have passion projects. You know, Christopher Nolan has Inception. It's a movie he, thought of when he was a kid, and he got to make it. James Cameron had Avatar, you know? These big directors, their passion projects, and they're turning them into these wildly creative films. This was Dan Aykroyd's passion project.
Did he direct it?
Yeah.
All right.
But that's why it kind of flew under the radar, you know? Some critics don't like it. I fucking love this movie.
Hell yeah.
It's based on a real experience that Dan Aykroyd had.
Really?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd was driving through a fucking podunk small town, and he got pulled over for some reason, and the cop recognized him. He's like, "Oh, little famous guy, little Ghostbuster, huh?"
Uh-huh.
And then the cop is like, I can't give you a ticket. You have to follow me to the courthouse."
Yeah.
Yeah. And the courthouse ended up being the judge's house.
Right.
And it was full of crazy people, and he was just he had no freedom.
Uh-huh.
He had to just follow this cop around, and it was these crazy fucking folks. And he made a movie about it. And
Yeah, that's basically what happens.
yeah. Fucking Chevy Chase ends up, he's like a city slicker.
Yep.
And he ends up at this judge's weird house. There's the security guard is John Candy. Love interest is Demi Moore. It's half comedy, half should I be afraid for these people kind of movie. It touches darkness, but it doesn't really go there.
You know, you're worse than a week of yellow shitstorms.
He's got this junkyard out back, and there's these two mutated children.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're grown men, but they're giant babies.
The baby bodies.
Yeah. John Candy plays the security guard. Is he the son?
He's the nephew
Okay, the nephew
of the judge.
But he also plays a female.
Yeah, he plays his own sister as well.
His own sister.
Eldona,
Oh God.
now you've gone and made advances against my poor granddaughter.
My niece? I don't fucking know. It is grandson. They're his grandchildren.
He's like, now I got no choice but to follow house policy.
Well, what's that?
Whatever man touches her is the one she keeps.
Fucking good movie.
And he's totally mute as Eldona. He just goes
When he tries people when they're in the courtroom part of the house and they're guilty, he flips a switch and they go through a trap door and they go through this conveyor belt to an incinerator. Right? They get killed. He kills them.
he kills other people, yeah.
Yeah. That's the weird darkness.
The incinerator.
danger.
Remember what it was called?
What?
Mr. Bone Stripper.
And there's a whole musical sequence that shows you in detail the bone stripper.
Yeah, what happens is these people, they go on the conveyor belt and they go out this trap door and they get spit out into a roller coaster, which then runs on a track, and it just ends at the beginning of the bone stripper, which is painted up like some big guy's face. And it just chops them up into nothing but bones, and it spits them out at the end.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Fucking Dan Aykroyd. He's in old man makeup, and he's got
The best nose prosthetic ever.
I won't give it away. You gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, you
Nothing
gotta
But
see it.
Trouble. It's called Nothing But Trouble. It's got Tupac in it.
You people are sick, wicked,
funky, misanthropic, codependent animals. Just about the finest outhouse wallpaper you've ever seen. Get your Italian loafers out of my bedpan.
All right, Ron, what'd you go see?
I went to go see Doctor Strange.
All right.
Hell yeah. Man, this shit was good.
Anything happen in the theater?
Not really, but outside the theater. This is opening weekend for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought our tickets, like a week ago online. So
Yeah.
all I had to do was walk up and, pick them up at the kiosk. But there's all these people in line to like buy tickets and shit. And this one employee comes out and just starts yelling to everybody that Doctor Strange is sold out until 11 o'clock tonight. This was at like 7. And everything was sold out. Like Hacksaw Ridge, sold out. Everything's sold out. And like people started like yelling and stuff.
Oh.
And, at that theater that I go to, it's got those nice reclining seats. And when they opened that up, they started this new system where you have to pick your seat.
Yeah.
You can't just pay to get in and then sit wherever you want. So when you buy them online, that's when you choose where you sit. And I had this couple in front of me, and the guy had been watching the screens on the kiosks, because that was full of people too. And he's like watching what people were doing. And then he turns to his wife and he goes, "Oh man, you gotta pick the seat here too." Like he was like, they're picking seats at the line with the human tellers.
Yeah.
If I just go over there, I won't have to deal with that shit.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That Prestige Club thing, paid off again tonight too.
Good.
Hell yeah.
All right. Doctor Strange on Movies with Ron. The Marvel Experience. This is our first Marvel movie.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Now I am a Marvel Cinematic Universe fucking maniac. I love this shit. So I knew this was going to be amazing. And it was. Yep, this shit was so damn good.
A lot of people say, it's just like Inception.
People are saying it's like Inception because,
There's folding streets.
yeah, there's folding streets. But here's the thing. This movie is like Inception times 1,000. This movie is what Inception should have been.
All right.
That's what I'll say about that folding street shit. And it's not so much folding streets. It's more like changing them. I don't know. It's fucking weird. Hey, I want to throw a shout out to one of our followers on Twitter, one of our listeners, Sal Roma. All right, this guy kicks ass. Okay, he's always reading our stuff, retweeting everything. He listens to all the shows, and I just want to say, Sal, thanks, man.
Thanks, Sal.
Thank you, buddy.
We also just got a new listener today. Okay, his name is Dennis Janssen. I think he's somewhere over in Europe, and he says, "Man, do I love Movies with Ron. Just finished binging all episodes. Nice to hear whole theater going experience. Quite different in Europe." His favorite episodes so far are Don't Breathe, The Magnificent Seven, and The Accountant.
All right.
And he asked us a question. He said, Movies with Ron, can you do a John Wick reprise? Just watching it right now. Which brings up a good point. We've been kind of kicking this around a little bit. So we've been talking about, sometimes we go see, I'll go see a movie where I wasn't really too interested in anything out that weekend. Mm-hmm. And, maybe one of these days when that happens again, we'll do an older flick. Like maybe one from our childhood or something like that. And that doesn't mean it's going to be a kid's movie, because we were watching shit in our childhood that no kid should ever watch. But, we might kick around some old stuff.
All right, cool. Good idea.
Yeah. What do you think, Rick?
I think we should do the Return to Die Hard.
A Die Hard retrospective in detail. And then he's like, come to the coast, have a few laughs.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Fuck you.
Only the best action movie ever made, and also the best Christmas movie ever made.
Yeah. Got the best fall from a high point.
Indeed.
Yeah. Also
Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What's your favorite? So this is your favorite Christmas movie, Die Hard?
I don't know if
of
you
all
can call
time,
it a
yeah.
Christmas movie.
Well, you're right. Maybe not call it a Christmas movie, but it still has enough of Christmas in it
Says a Christmas atmosphere.
Like lump it in there.
It is a Christmas movie.
It increases the tension. It's not a Christmas movie.
No, it's a Christmas movie.
Can I bring up, I was talking about falling, when John McClane is diving through the elevator shaft or some kind of shaft for the ventilation shaft,
Yeah.
and he misses the first one he's going for.
Uh-huh.
Oh, fucking riveting moment, man.
Yeah.
Oh God, guys,
God.
that's not even like that wasn't even in the script. That was actually like a fuck up on the stuntman's part. And when they were editing it, and they were going through the film footage, and they saw that, all the editors like lost their shit and kind of like had a reaction to it.
Yeah.
And they brought other guys in. They were like,
It was an accident.
it was an accident that was in the movie.
The stunt guy missed his mark.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, keep it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so like below the stunt guy was just a painted backdrop. You know, it was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, 30 stories of sheer terror. You know, and it was the elevator shaft from the 30th story. So it looked like, you know, you fall, you're fucked.
Yeah, it was scary.
So
I love
like-
that part.
Oh God.
So why is it a Christmas movie?
It is a Christmas movie because
It takes place at Christmas time.
it does take place at Christmas time, but it is just
That
There
makes Iron Man 3 a Christmas movie.
indeed.
You know why? It's Shane Black, the writer.
Yeah, that's his thing.
He puts Christmas in all his movies.
It's a perfect time to have some kind of actiony thing happen.
I don't believe your argument, though.
It is
I'll
a good- it is
I
a
will
damn
let that
good
be
setting.
Your favorite Christmas movie.
It's a damn good setting for an action flick.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that every time Christmas rolls around, you don't just like get sick of like hanging out and eating cookies with your family, and you just wish some terrorists would come down so you could save the day?
All right.
All right, but anyway, you
Ron.
said what's my favorite movie?
Christmas movie.
Christmas movie. Of all time, Die Hard. Of recent, Krampus.
Yeah, yeah. Krampus was decent.
What about you, Ron?
Jingle All the Way.
Mm.
Fuck all of you. That movie's amazing.
No. That's good. I love that movie.
Arnold and Sinbad.
Put that cookie down now.
That's my cookie.
You can't bench press your way out of this one.
Oh yeah,
Phil
man.
Hartman.
Phil Hartman, baby,
Oh, man.
in all of his glory.
You
In
finally
that
got
movie.
to work with Arnold.
Yeah. You can't bench press your way out of this one.
It's nestled safely under our tree.
Just trying to get the Turbo Man doll.
You know, they made a sequel with Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. My favorite Christmas movie, I'm not going to say Lethal Weapon, because that's just an action movie that takes place at Christmas time. My favorite Christmas movie is The Wraith.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Christmas is littered throughout it. It is a Christmas movie.
That is a Christmas movie.
And it's got so much change in it. It happens like, has such a solid location. It's kind of like a bottle story where they're stuck in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all part of the charm. And then the characters are going in and out.
I did your wife, Bob. 3 times, Bob.
She said, "You never went 3 times, Bob."
That actor is also in Nothing But Trouble. He's like the FBI guy at the end who goes there with him. I had more about Silver Bullet. I wanted to talk about the girl who played the sister. She was good. It's not an easy character, I think, playing the kid that is opposite Corey Haim, who is obviously,
Also, she's playing that rare thing, and I'm sure like Stephen King went into detail about this. She plays the character where she's the functional one,
yeah.
and she's the sibling of the disabled sibling, and her life is shit because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's like with them to the end, where they both like melt down their those little medals they have to
Yeah,
make 2 silver bullets. That's
Yeah.
all they can. That's all they
such
can
an
get.
eerie part of that movie. That's when they play the Halloween theme.
Yeah,
Similar kind of.
Yeah.
And then he melted the silver, and
yeah.
It's
She's
like-
narrating the whole thing.
he's like, I don't know. He's talking to the bullet smith, and he's like, I don't know what Gary Busey's like, man, stupid kids. I don't know what they plan to do with a silver bullet. And then the bullet smith is like, kill a fucking werewolf. It's like, dun. And also Gary Busey, like, He has that line, which was repeated throughout Stephen King's novel, where he's like, "Oh man, sweet Jesus Palomino."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus Palomino.
All right, so you saw a bunch of logos?
Yeah, I saw a couple of previews. You want to hear about them?
Yeah, sure.
There's one that's rather noteworthy. Okay, remember the preview for Great Wall? Remember the teaser?
Yeah.
Now we got a full-on preview.
Okay.
Okay. We get to see the monsters a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look like those cool big, Asian dragons that you see in artwork and stuff like that. They just look like an army of Komodo dragons.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
Just like a sea of them
Does it look good?
trying to crawl up this wall. Yeah, it looks pretty good, I guess.
How big are they?
Bigger than a human,
Okay.
but still like small enough to need an army to take over this other army. Yeah, like if it was big full-size dragons, one could do it.
Are they like organized dragons?
No, they look like a big swarm of ants or
Oh.
something like that.
All right. Can't wait to do that episode.
That'll be good. I seen the preview to Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That shit looks good. It's dark as hell.
They got rid of his dumbass haircut.
Gave him an all-new dumbass haircut.
His hair was dumb.
Not back in the
Does
day,
not
man.
translate
Yeah,
into
I
real
agree.
life.
I agree. They did their best, though.
They tried to do the hair, but then they give them all like leather S&M suits in the first X-Men movie.
I know.
They even have that line where it's like, "What were you expecting? Yellow spandex?"
Yeah.
And every audience member was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And then they did it.
Yeah, I know.
Now all the superheroes wear their original spandex costumes.
New Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
All right.
Dead men tell no tales.
So you got Johnny Depp in it?
I'm sure it does, but they don't show him. You know who is in it, though? The guy who plays the bad guy?
Who?
Javier Bardem.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's going to be good. Okay, you ready?
Was born ready.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so the only logo we got is the Marvel Studios logo, which, takes 10 minutes. So we open up in an old dark temple, okay? And there's books and shit, and there's some dark-robed figures coming in, like they're infiltrating, okay? And they come into this library that's got all these ancient books and shit. There's a librarian there, but he's like a little monk, and all of these bad guys, they immediately start wielding magic, okay, and it just looks like light and shit coming out of their hands, and they're able to conjure like ropes made out of magic,
Yeah.
all right, and they like lash this fucker's arms and legs, and they're like holding him up, and then the lead bad guy shows his face, and it is Mads Mikkelsen,
Sweet.
okay, he's got all this long hair, and it's like his creepy weird face. He always looks to me like he's like about to cry.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he does cry later in the movie. And it is mesmerizing.
He's a good actor.
He is, man. I love him. Okay, so he shows his face and cuts off the head of that fucking librarian. Cuts his head off and then goes and pulls this one special book off of the shelf, flips through it, finds whatever page he was looking for, and rips it out, and is about to leave when he hears Caecilius, because that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
That ritual will not help you. It will only lead you to destruction or whatever. And he turns around and he sees it's just another robed figure, okay? And instead of talking to it, he just, fuck it, turns around and leaves. And they all start running, and then all of a sudden they just go through some weird fucking portal. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like running through the streets of fucking New York. Okay? Now that figure follows them. And that figure turns out to be the Ancient One, who is played by
Tilda Swinton?
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
This was kind of
A lot of people got pissed off.
yeah, a lot of people got pissed off, but you know what? She fucking delivered, as she always does.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like a androgynous dream.
Yeah, she is. Okay.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, she did great. Fuck that. Didn't need to be some old guy.
Well, I think they wanted him to be Asian.
I'll give you that. He probably should have been Asian. But at least it wasn't Matt Damon.
Okay.
All right? So everybody fuck off. I'll fucking defend Tilda Swinton to the death. So they're running through the streets, and, they're running and shit, and fucking all of a sudden, all the buildings on the street, they all start changing, okay? Now, this is kind of hard to describe. But it's almost like all of the blocks that the buildings are made of, all the bricks and everything, they all just start shuffling. If you could just shuffle the buildings, it's weird. Like all of their windows start turning around and shit. Like sections of them are like folding outward and weird shit. Okay, and then all of a sudden, gravity now sucks everybody to the side of the building. Okay, so they're all running along the side of the building.
Okay.
And fucking Mads Mikkelsen turns and he just yells at the Ancient One, which is her name, hypocrite! And then he just keeps running. And so what she's doing is they call this folding matter when that shit happens. And they're doing that. She's doing it to slow him down. So they're all like falling and shit, you know, because he's got this whole big gang of thugs with him. They all stormed this place together. And they're all hanging off of, ledges and stuff. And then he conjures a portal down at the bottom. And a couple of his thugs make it through and shit. And then he jumps down, falls through the portal. You can see that the portal leads to somewhere else, okay? And then he closes it. So then she's like, shit. So she walks back through her portal. And now she's in the normal city street. Now, all that was happening in the city streets, but regular people on the street couldn't see it. And I'll explain that in a little while.
Okay.
So then she's walking down the road, and she pulls her hood off, and you just see the back of her head, okay? Which is bald as fuck.
Okay.
Then we cut to
Benedict Cumberbatch.
scrubbing up for surgery, because he's a doctor. He's a super surgeon. He's the best surgeon on planet Earth, okay? And he is like a stuck-up prick about it, okay? He is amazing. He knows he's amazing, and everybody else can just kiss his ass.
Yeah.
So then it shows him in surgery, and they're like playing some funky music and shit, and he's like, yeah, do a music challenge. And then this guy plays this other song, and it's Chuck Mangione's Feel So Good, 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's like saying the name of the song and the year it came out and everything, and this other guy's like, oh, no, it came out in 78. And he was like, nope, you're wrong. Just because it charted in 1978, it was actually released in 1977. Look it up. And everybody's like, geez, where do you store all this useless information? And he's like, useless? The guy made a top 40 hit with a flugelhorn. Like everything means something to him.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yep, it checks out, 1977. And then he like does a little dance while he's operating on some asshole's brain. Okay? Then through the window, he sees Rachel McAdams. Okay, so she pokes her head in the window, and he's like, oh, it's Rachel McAdams. And then this other doctor is like, I'll finish up here. You're pretty much done. And he's like, yeah, thanks. Because he's such a rock star surgeon, he doesn't have to finish shit,
Yeah.
So he goes out, and she's like all in a hurry because she is a doctor too, but she's a doctor in the ER. So she's like, I got this fucker. He's got a bullet in his brain, and this other doctor is saying that, he's already dead. But, look at this picture. And he looks at the picture and sees that it is a nice, clean bullet in the middle of this guy's brain. And he's like, we have to run. So they run, and this other doctor is like, yeah, we're taking this guy for organ removal. He's a donor. He's already brain dead. I've already pronounced him dead. And then Doctor Strange is like,
His name is actually Strange.
whose name is actually Stephen Strange.
Okay.
He's like, nah, look at the bullet. It's clean. It's not deformed or anything. That means it's been hardened. Now, you harden a lead bullet by dipping it in blah, 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 which is a poisonous metal and shit. So that metal is now leaking into his bloodstream, and that causes... And the guy's like, premature readings of brain death. Like, oh my God, I just misread the situation. And he's like, we gotta go now. I gotta get this bullet out of this man's brain. And that guy's like, I'll assist. And he's like, no. Rachel McAdams, she's gonna assist.
Yeah.
So then they're in there operating, okay, and it shows him drilling a hole in the guy's skull, and then Rachel's like, okay, we're going to get the imager over here so you can see the bullet. And he's like, no, we don't have time for that. So he's going to have to like stick some tweezers into this dude's brain and pull the bullet out freehand. And that other doctor who's watching, he's like, you can't do that freehand. And he's like, I can, and I will. And he does. And it's beautiful. Then there's some, some flirty repartee between the two of them. You learn that they were exes, okay? Mm-hmm. They used to have a thing. Strange and Rachel.
Yeah, okay.
There's a little little dialogue where she's like, yeah, everything's always about you. Fuck you. And he's like, well, isn't it? And then it shows him in his badass penthouse apartment, and it's just like fucking, he like lives like Bruce Wayne. Okay, he's so fucking stinking rich.
Yeah.
And then so he's going to this. It's late at night, and he's going out to some big banquet or whatever where he's gonna give a speech. And he drives away in this beautiful fucking Lamborghini Hurricane. Okay, and he's speeding down the road, and he's talking to some asshole on his car phone, and looking for his next case, his next high-profile case that he can, like, get famous with and shit.
Yeah.
While he's talking to that guy, the guy sends him an x-ray. He's looking at it, and then while he's looking at it, he drifts over, because he's going like 1,000 miles an hour, and hits some truck, and then gets in one of the most horrible car wrecks you've ever seen on cinema.
Really?
Oh, yeah, man. That thing gets fucking rocked and rolled all over the fucking place.
Oh, wow.
I actually caught it. There is a split-second shot where you see his hands, which are a big focal point of the movie, actually punch through the dashboard of the car. So his hands end up being completely fucked. He wakes up in the hospital. His face is all mangled and shit. And he looks at his hands, and his hands are in complete traction. They've got all these pins sticking out of the fingers and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this until I saw this movie, but those are all called fixators. So he wakes up, and he's like, what the fuck did you assholes do to me? And Rachel's there. She's like, calm down, it's okay. You know, you're alive. Everything's all fucked up. Your hands were all fucked up. They're all full of steel pins now. You know, but nobody could have done better. And he looks at her and he's like, I could have done better. And he looks at her and the other doctor and he's like, you guys have ruined me.
Yeah.
Like he completely blames them.
Okay.
So, you know, it shows a little time lapse go by. It just cuts to him. You know, yeah, the bandages come off and his hands are all fucking super shaky and shit. And he's just shaking his head like, no, man, I'm fucked. Okay, they're all covered in scars. And then it shows him in a boardroom with like the board for the hospital. And he's asking for this, some kind of surgery to put some stint in some veins or whatever that's going to help blood flow and speed up his healing. And they're like, well, it's risky, it's experimental, but it could work. And he's like, yeah, come on, let's do it. So they do it. It does not work.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it shows him in physical therapy. And he's just sitting there like flexing his fingers on this little device. And the guy's like, come on. His therapist is like, come on, man, you can do it, man. That's good. You're doing a good job, man. And like, he's such an asshole to this guy. He looks at him and he goes, yeah, okay, well, so tell me something, bachelor's degree. You ever seen anybody with my kind of nerve damage that has ever actually made a full recovery? And he's like, yeah, one guy. And then Strange is like, what? He's like, who? He's like, this fucker, his fucking spine was all broken and shit. He couldn't walk, and he was all fucked up. And then one day he stopped coming, so I just assumed he died. Then one day he passed me on the street, walking. And Strange is like, what the fuck? Who is he? Prove this to me. He's like, yeah, it'll take me a while to find the file, but if it'll shut your arrogant ass up, that's fine. So then it cuts to him at home, and he's on the phone with some other super doctor, and he's like, come on, man, you got to operate on me. You got to help me out. And the guy's like, no way. It'll never work. And he's like, fuck you. He's like losing all of his patience and shit. Rachel shows up in his apartment, and he's at his wit's end. And they're talking and stuff, and she's like, come on, yeah, obviously you're not going to be able to be a surgeon anymore, but your life can still have meaning. And this motherfucker looks at her, and he's like, oh yeah, what's going to give it meaning? You? And she's like, this is where you apologize. And he's like, this is where you leave. And he's like, pushing her away, being a fucking dickhead to her and shit, makes her cry, okay?
Yeah.
So she leaves. She's like, all right, fuck off. And as she leaves, she walks over a piece of paper that he had thrown onto the floor, and we see it, and he's been trying to write his name over and over. Yeah. And it's very, very, it's a very pathetic feeling that you get for him. You immediately actually feel sorry for him.
Oh.
When you see it. Then at that point, he opens up his mail and finds the file of this old patient that the therapist sent to him. So he finds the guy. The guy's name is John Pangborn or something like that. So he goes and he finds this guy, John Pangborn, and this guy is playing basketball. And he's like, hey, you John Pangborn? And he's like, yeah. Well, you were all fucked up. You had, your spine was totally screwed, but now you're walking and playing basketball. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, how did you do it? And the guy's kind of a dick to him. And he's like, look, man, you came back from something, from a place that there was no escape from. And he holds his hands up and they're all shaking. And he's like, I'm trying to find my way back too. You know, and you find out that Pangborn had actually gone to him for help back when he was injured. And he was like, yeah, you wouldn't even fucking see me. I never got past your fucking, your receptionist. And he's like, well, you were untreatable.
Oh.
Please help me. So then the guy's like, well, I figured my body was fucked, so I needed to elevate my mind. So he started, like, meditating and going to holy men and shit like that, and he ended up finding this place in Kathmandu, Nepal, called Kamartaj. And he's like, yep, they took my mind places I never thought existed, and all of a sudden, my body healed. So he's like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, the place you're looking for is Kamartaj. Go. So with Western science failing him, he seeks Eastern wisdom. And he goes. He's wandering around the streets of Kathmandu. And he's looking, and he's like talking to people. He's like, Kamartaj, Kamartaj. And then this one guy on the street like hears him say that, and he like looks over, and it's Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he follows him. He follows him to an alley where he finds him getting mugged by three guys. And he actually, Strange actually tries to fight him, but he throws one punch and like breaks his hand doing it. So that he just gets his ass handed to him by these guys. And then Chiwetel jumps in and just lays waste to these assholes, like lickety-split. The guys had wanted his watch. So Chiwetel, whose name is Mordo in this movie.
Good actor.
Yeah, great actor. Picks up his watch and hands it to him, and the watch is all busted up and shit. Then he takes him to Kamartaj. And they're about to walk in, and he's like, whoa, this place looks like shit. Shouldn't we go to that temple over there? Looks a little more Kamartaj-y. And then Mordo is like, you know, I was once where you are, okay? And I was disrespectful then, like you are now. So I'm just going to give you one piece of advice. Forget everything you think you know. And he's like, yeah, okay. So they go inside, and he meets the Ancient One, which is, now we see the face, it's Tilda Swinton. And you know, he's like, you know, what the hell are you doing here? You know, you got this guy to walk. And she's like, yeah, well, I didn't really heal him. Like when you heal nerves in a patient, is it you who's healing them, or is it the body? And he's like, well, it's the cells. And she's like, yeah, because the cells are programmed to rebuild themselves in a specific way, right? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, what if I could tell you that the human body can be trained to rebuild itself in many ways? And he's like, oh, you're talking about cellular regeneration. This is a cutting edge science. Is that why you're doing this work out here with no medical board, you know, overseeing you? Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, no, this is all about spirit. And he's like, spirit? Fuck you. I didn't come here for spirit. He's like, spirit doesn't exist. And then she just turns around and punches his spirit right out of his body. And he's like flying backward in slow motion. This like ghost him that's behind the real him. And he's like looking at his hands, and he's looking at his body, and he's like, what the fuck? And then he gets sucked back into his body. And he's like, oh my God, what happened? And she's like, oh, I just separated your astral form from your physical form. So, all right. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he had been like, you fucking, you know, telling me about healing through belief. You know, fuck that. And she had shown him some pictures like of chakras and stuff. And he's like, I see shit like this before. I've seen it in gift shops. So she's like, yeah, no, fuck that. And she sticks her thumb on his forehead, and she's like, you need to open your eye. And then all of a sudden, he just flies up out of the roof, flies up through the fucking sky, flies into space, and is flying through space. Okay? At like lightning speed. And he's flying through all these weird colors and shit. This is where a description of it will fail. Okay? It's all like trippy and amazing looking. And he's flying through all this shit. And as he's doing all this, you hear Mordo say, his heart rate is dangerously high. And then all of a sudden, Strange just gets sucked all the way backwards.
Yeah.
All the way back through all that shit that he just flew through. And then he's back in his body. And he's like, oh my God. And then Tilda Swinton just goes, he looks okay to me. And then sends him back out again. So he's going through all this shit. Like that scene in Stargate where they're flying through all the crap.
Yeah.
So you got all these amazing visuals. He's seeing all this trippy shit, like all these sculptures that are made out of his face. Okay, but the faces are actually made out of hands. Then he looks at his own hands, and every one of his fingers are growing new hands, and then all the fingers on those hands are growing new hands, and like forever and ever. It's all fucking weird. And then as he's flying through all this stuff, he catches a glimpse of these big, giant, evil eyes out in space. Because there's also a voiceover going on with the Ancient One saying, like, yeah, there's good places and there's bad places and all sorts of weird, trippy shit. So then all of a sudden he comes back into his body and he's like on his knees and he's like gasping for breath. And then she's just looking at him. She goes, you ever seen that shit in a gift shop? And that's that scene from the preview where he like holds his hands up to her and he's like begging her and he just goes, teach me. Yeah. And then she just goes, she looks at him and she goes, nope. And then walks away and he gets thrown out the front door into this fucking street.
Oh, wow.
Then she's having a meeting with these other three, they call them masters, okay, in this area that has, there's a little altar on it, and there's this strange little symbol necklace in the center of it, okay, and then there's 3 doors around it. We'll find out what those are soon enough. So then she's talking to Chiwetel, and he's like, what the hell? Why'd you throw him out? And she's like, I don't need another fucking gifted student fucking turn into the fucking darkness, okay? And he's like Caecilius? And she's like, yeah. And then he goes, well, you didn't lose me to the darkness. And then she looks at him like, oh, shit. No, you're gifted too, man.
Oh, okay.
She didn't say that, but like, yeah.
Oh.
And he's like, you know what? I think, he's got that, Caecilius has that fucking ritual that can fucking fuck everything up. So we might need a guy like Strange. And she's like, yeah, all right. So then they let him back in. And that's, we see Chiwetel showing him to his room, and he gives him this piece of paper that says Shambhala. And he's like, what is this, my mantra? And he's like, that's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages. So then he takes off his watch, and then we see the back of the watch, and there's an engraving on it, and it's like a love note from Rachel McAdams. And that's why we understand that it's so important to him. Mm. So then we get a bunch of exposition the next morning of, from the Ancient One, telling him all about spells and shit like that. And it's basically like, you're a scientist, so if you want to think about it like magic, that's cool. Or if you don't, you can think about it like programming code, okay? You're just accessing a different language that exists in the universe, and you need to just accept that this is real. And he's like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And then he's like, but how do I get from here to there? And she's like, well, how did you turn into a fucking super surgeon, healing nerves and crap? And he's like, practice, study and practice, years of it. And she's like, ding. Like, looks at him like, yep. So then it shows, I guess maybe a week or two later, and he's like in his new Jedi trainee robes. Yeah. And he's in the library, and he's like checking out new books. And the new librarian, his name is Wong. And he's like, you read all these books already? And he's like, yeah, I've got a photographic memory. It's how I got my master's and my PhD at the same time. And he's like, all right, well, looks like you could read some advanced shit. So he gives him some advanced books. Then we cut to Caecilius and his thugs, and they are using their stolen ritual to conjure up a spell and bring them to this super evil entity that exists in some dark dimension, and his name is Dormammu. This is like the Satan of this story. Okay. So they're doing this spell, and then he's like, we're going to get power from Dormammu to be able to fucking do all this bullshit. And so they're all conjuring this crap up, and then they get all of these, the mark of Dormammu burns into their foreheads, and then all of their eyes like go really super fucking dark, and they're like glowing purple around their eyes. It's weird. Yeah, they basically look like they have all been punched in both eyes. Okay. They're all walking around with black eyes. All right. Then it cuts to Strange, and he is in training. We find out that they do that thing where they conjure the portals to be able to travel. Okay, and he's in the middle of a group of students that are all doing it, like practicing martial arts in a field or something, but they're all practicing portals. Everybody is able to do it but him. So he sucks. They also have these things called sling rings that they have to be wearing to be able to do that shit. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to show you this other. She shows them this other thing that they can do where they go into what's called the mirror dimension. And everything, when they're in the mirror dimension, it looks like they've just passed through like some like crystal barrier or something like that. And in that mirror dimension, that's when they do all of that matter folding shit, where they change the streets and the buildings and everything. Okay. So as long as they're in that mirror dimension, and as far as anybody knows, that's the only place that can be done. regular people on the street, they don't see it because they can't see the mirror dimension.
Okay.
Okay? So the muggles don't know what's going on. So Strange sucks at what he's doing. He can't conjure the fucking spells. And he's like, my hands are so fucked up. She's like, it's not about your hands, asshole. Come here, come with me. And they walk through a portal, and all of a sudden they're at the top of Mount Everest. And it's cold as fuck, okay? And he's like, where are we? She's like, Everest, isn't it beautiful? And he's like, yeah, it really is. It's pretty cold, though. She's like, yeah, out here, a regular person, they could probably survive for about 30 minutes, But you'll probably go into shock after like 15. So, this isn't about your hands, man. It's about your ego. You need to surrender your ego, okay? And he's like, yeah, okay. So then she fucking strands him there. And as she's closing her portal, you just hear her go, surrender, Steven. And then she is back in the training yard, and she's just standing there waiting for him to come back. Because it's like, just kicking him off of the boat or out of the nest, Mm-hmm. If he wants to live, he's going to conjure a portal. So then Chiwetel is looking at her, and he's like, so is he going to make it? And he had seen what was going on, and he was like, oh, not again. Like she does this to people. And she's like, yeah, well, we'll see any second now. And like you get this moment where they both are like, oh, shit. And Chiwetel's like, should I go? And she's like, no. And then a portal opens up and Strange comes out of it.
All right.
So he's able to do it. So it's like his big ta-da moment, okay? Now, thus far, Benedict Cumberbatch has been like totally unshaven because his hands were all fucked up, and they kept showing him trying to shave off his beard, but he couldn't because his hands were shaking so bad. So now that he is able to do this, he had that moment where he's like, oh man, I can do magic.
Yeah.
It gave him better
Shaving
confidence
skills.
And shaving skills. Yeah. So now he shaves into his patented, what do they call him? Van Dykes? I don't know. Cuts
Now
his hair
he's
and shit.
Dr.
Now
Strange.
he looks like Doctor Strange. So now he's checking out books on astral projection and shit, and going super advanced in his studies. And it shows him at night sleeping in his bed, and then next to his bed is his astral form reading the books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's like studying while his body's sleeping. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Because he just wants to know everything about this shit now. Because he wants to heal his hands so that he can go back to being a super surgeon. Being a big conceited shithead. So, also because he is he's a loose cannon, he steals the super advanced books, behind the back of the librarian Wong, and he will conjure little portals just big enough for his hand to come through and take a book.
Yeah.
It's weird. So you see Wong sitting there, and then behind him you see this happening, and books are disappearing, and Wong is like, "What? Where the hell did it go?" So they talk a little more about the mirror dimension, and they're like, "Yeah, you need your sling ring to get in and out of this thing. So if you get caught in here without your sling ring, you're stuck." All right. Then we get a scene where Strange and Chiwetel are sparring, and Chiwetel explains about Caecilius and how he was a good student, and then he turned against the Ancient One and brought a bunch of his disciples with him, and now they are where they are. He also shows him relics, okay? And there's certain magic that is so strong that it can't be contained in a person, so we will put it into objects. Like, this is the staff of blah, 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 and these are the jumping boots of so-and-so. And the guys, and Strange is like, oh, cool. Well, when can I get a relic? And he's like, well, the relic will decide when you are ready. But, maybe, whenever. Now fight! Conjure a weapon and fight! So he just starts fucking, like, trying to fucking kick Strange's ass. Kind of does. He's like, fight like your life depends on it, because someday it might. Then it cuts to Strange, and he's writing an email to Rachel McAdams. And then he doesn't send it, because he's scared. Then we got Strange reading these super secret books that are only for the Ancient One, okay, Tilda Swinton. And he's reading about that necklace that was on that altar, okay, and it's called the Eye of Agamotto or something like that. And so he takes it, and he has to like say some spell shit to open up the eye, and the necklace actually moves. The eye opens, and it's glowing green, okay?
Okay.
This matters later. he's eating an apple while he's doing this. So then, he's reading the text and he does all the magic shit. And then it just look like when he does this, it looks like he's wearing this like gauntlet of green magic. He's able to like slip it onto his hand. And while that's there, he can like turn his hand towards the apple, and the apple, which has bites taken out of it, will now have more bites out of it, and then just become an apple core, and then it will rot away to nothing, and then he can turn his hand back the other way, and it will regenerate back. So he's actually playing with time with the apple, okay? And he's able to reverse time and speed it up. Then he gets caught by Wong and Chiwetel, and they're like, "What are you doing? That's forbidden magic. You can't fuck up with the laws of nature. Fuck you." And he's like, "No, man, for real. Well, they were like, you could ruin everything. You could fuck things up. You could actually get stuck in a fucking time loop. Okay? How would you like that, asshole? Reliving the same moment over and over for eternity? Would you like that?" And he's like, "Well, they didn't talk about that. I didn't get to that part yet in the book." And before he got caught, actually, he learned that trick with the apple, and then he looks at the book, and he finds the pages that were ripped out, and then he reverses time on the book and sees the pages. So he's able to read in there what the guy wanted, his ability to contact this Dormammu and go to the dark dimension. So Chiwetel is like, "How the hell were you able to do all that shit, man?" And Wong is like, "Man, that's like so advanced. You were born to be a fucking sorcerer, dude." Okay. And he's like, no, I just have a really good memory. No. This is like in your blood, bitch. And he's like, "What are we anyway? Sorcerers, baby. We keep the, and then they mention the Avengers. The Avengers, they deal with physical threats, okay, in the world. We deal with the spiritual realm, and we keep the world safe from that kind of shit."
Okay.
Ghostbusters. So then they explain that there are 3 sanctums around the world. There's one in London, one in New York, and one in Hong Kong. Now, those sanctums are like spiritual satellites or whatever, and they cast a shield around the planet. And that shield is what keeps Dormammu from, like, eating the planet or its spiritual energy and sucking it into the dark dimension and Armageddon.
Yeah.
And this Dormammu, he wants Earth real bad. And then Strange is like, "Yo, I came here to heal my hands, guys, not to fight in some fucking mystical war." Now we find out that those 3 doors that Tilda Swinton was in front of, we find out that those are actually the doors to all the different sanctums on Earth. Remember, they're in Kathmandu, but if you go through this door over here, you're in London. That door, New York, and this third door, Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. Takes you right there. They're all connected like that. Right then, the London door opens up, and we see that the sanctum there is being attacked by Caecilius. And they're like, "Oh, shit." And Wong and Chiwetel jump in there to go and fight him, and then the door slams shut. Strange gets thrown through another door, which turns out to be the New York sanctum. He's walking through it, and it's all abandoned. There's nobody there, and he's walking. He's like, "Hello, hello." And then he walks through this room full of magical relics. And there's all these masks and weapons and shit like that. And he's walking by this one, and it says everything's in glass cases. And he walks by one, and it's a big red cape. And it's floating in the air. And like when he walks by it, it like responds to him. It moves a little bit.
Yeah.
The cape ends up having personality. Anyway, he's walking around. He's like, "Hello, hello." And then all of a sudden, Caecilius shows up to destroy that sanctum. And every sanctum has a master. This one has one named David. Caecilius fucking kills him. And at that point, Doctor Strange is like, No, wait, don't kill him. And Caecilius looks up at him and he's like, "Tell me, how long have you been at Kamar-Taj, Mr.?" And then Strange goes, "Doctor." And he's like, "Okay, tell me how long you've been there, Mr. Doctor." And then Strange goes, "It's strange." And he goes, "Yeah, maybe it is, but who am I to judge?" It's like this weird little comedy moment. And then they just fucking start fighting. Caecilius is using spells and shit. Doctor Strange, he's conjuring shields, but like they kind of suck, and he has to fight him and all of his thugs. But he ends up like kind of holding his own a little bit, okay? He starts trying to run away from Caecilius. Caecilius makes the hallway last forever. Mm-hmm. Okay, he starts folding matter, okay? But they are not in the mirror dimension. They're in normal, in the normal world.
Okay.
They're just inside of this sanctum. They're inside this building, okay? Yeah. And So then later we find out that that spell that all those thugs did with Caecilius, and their eyes went black and shit, that gave them more power, and they're able to fold matter outside of the mirror dimension, which makes them super fucking dangerous. So if they do it out in the city streets, then all the muggles will see. Okay?
All right.
So he's running away. Now the hallway lasts forever. Whatever, he ends up getting away from it, and he stumbles into the relics room. Now, there was also this set of windows, okay, that each window had, like, just 3 windows in front of you, okay? The window on the left has, like, I don't know, like the fucking North Pole, okay? The one in front of you has fucking waves and ocean and shit like that, and then the one on the right has, like, a rainforest. And you can open up these windows, and that shit is actually out there.
Okay.
Okay? Then you can close the window and then turn a little dial, and now there's the desert. Okay? So they're like portal windows, okay? He uses those to his advantage. He ends up, like, kicking one of the thugs out the window into the desert, okay? Now, because gravity has now been changed, they actually fall down the hallway and then out the window, okay? Then he goes, and that person is now out in the desert running for their life back to the window, and just before they get to it, he turns the dial. And they're like, shit! So they're spinning the room all around and each other and shit, and doing that, fighting and folding matter and shit. And then they stumble into the relic room, and Caecilius is kicking Strange's ass all over the room, busting all these cases open and shit. There's a little funny moment where he's like, he picks up this relic and he's like, all right, come on, motherfucker. And he holds it up above him, and then Caecilius is just like, you don't even know how to use that, do you? And then he's just like, and he just tries to hit him with it. And he's getting his ass kicked. And then finally, he stumbles into the case that has the cape in it. That breaks open. And then Caecilius, he's able to make these blades out of thin air, but you can't even see them. You just see, like, space kind of distorting around them.
Yeah.
And he's about to stab him with it, and then the cape deflects it. It's behind him, and it just, like, reached its fucking corners around Strange, and it's just, like, fighting off Caecilius for him.
Fuck
And it's
yeah.
protecting him, yeah, because it likes him.
I didn't know this about the cape.
Yeah. So now the cape, it's on him. Okay. Well, it's not on him. Caecilius picks Strange up and he throws him over a ledge. Okay. And then lightning quick, the cape follows him. Goes down and saves him. And then after that, Strange floats up into the air and he's wearing the cape and it's flowing all over the place. And now we have the full on Doctor Strange look.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. So then he's still trying to fight Caecilius, all right? But he still kind of sucks. So then he sees an axe on the wall and he's like, oh, I'll go for that axe, like old weapons just hanging on the wall for decoration and shit. And he goes to get it, and just before he reaches it, the cape won't let him. So he's like running it in place, all right? And the cape is like pulling his neck back and shit. And he's like, what the hell? Stop. He's trying to talk to it. All right. The cape now acts like carpet from that movie Aladdin.
Yeah.
Like the magic carpet. Yeah. It's really cool, actually. So then it won't let him go for the axe, and it's guiding him over to this other thing, which looks like this weird suit, okay? And it's made out of all this different chain link crap, and it is obviously telling him to use this. So then he grabs that thing, and he just throws it at Mads Mikkelsen, okay? Once that thing hits Mads Mikkelsen, it's like what it is. It's like a prison suit.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it transforms and it links all over his body, and it makes Mads Mikkelsen turn around and march into place and then put one knee down and then put another down, and it spins him around and then it bends him forward and then it just pulls his arms back behind him and it just locks him in that position.
Oh, wow.
It's fucking weird. It got a huge laugh in the theater because of how goddamn awkward it looks.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, but yeah, he's just fucking prisoner now.
That's cool.
So then Doctor Strange is like, yeah, you gotta stop this, man. You gotta stop this. And Mads Mikkelsen's like, you cannot stop this, Mr. Doctor. And he's like, yeah, we can all live forever in the dark dimension. It's cool. It's really awesome. You should join us. And he's like, screw you. You're a murderer, man. And he's like, no. Check it out. The Ancient One. She's been alive for hundreds of years, okay? She teaches all of us parlor tricks, but she keeps the real magic for herself. How do you think she stays alive for so long? And he's like, all right, you got me there, man. I don't know. But I did read that spell. I know Dormammu has something to do with it. And he's like, yeah, well, what she hides from everybody, Dormammu gives freely. Okay? Immortality. We can all live forever, within his darkness. And that's the point at which Mads Mikkelsen starts crying, because he starts talking about time being everyone's real enemy. Good guy or bad guy, time kills everything. And you learn that before he went and learned how to do all this shit, he had a family and they were killed. So you actually develop a little sympathy for him. So he tells him that the Ancient One, she's really a crook. And then he starts laughing. And Strange is like, what, you think that's funny? And he's like, no. What I think is funny is that you've lost your sling ring. And then right behind him, one of his thugs conjures a portal and then fucking starts kicking his ass. So now he can't get away or anything like that. I thought that they were going to trap him in the mirror dimension, but they did not. Anyway, this guy comes up behind him and stabs him with one of those like force blades or whatever, and stabs him right in his fucking heart.
Oof.
Okay, so now he's like pouring blood everywhere, and he's got no sling ring. He can't get away. So then that other thug is coming after him in the hallway, and the cape fights the guy for him, wraps itself around his head, and then starts throwing him across the hallway and shit, beating him against the walls. And at that point, that guy drops his sling ring. Strange picks it up, conjures a portal, and goes out the portal into the ER where Rachel McAdams works. And now he's all in his Doctor Strange outfit, okay?
But he's injured?
Oh, yeah, big time.
This is fucking cool.
Yeah, he's got bloody handprints. He's leaving all over the walls, and he's like, Rachel McAdams, where are you? She shows up, and he's like, you got to get me into an operating room. Let's do this. You got to help me. So she takes him in there. It's just them in there. He's on the table. And she's like, okay, all right, what the fuck? What'd you even get stabbed with? He's like, I don't even know. She's like, why are you wearing this weird shit? He's like, I'll explain later. At that point, his body dies and, flatlines and shit. It's like, beep. And she starts freaking out. And then his astral form just appears in front of her. And he's like, yeah, come on. Put that adrenaline needle in my heart right there. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? She can see him. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, no, it's cool. And she's like, what? Are you dead? And he's like, no, babe, I'm not dead, but I am dying. So you got to hurry the fuck up. So at that point, we see that other thug that was fighting him. He gets out of the cape by astral projecting himself. And then he follows him into the hospital. So now Strange and that thug fight, but in astral form.
Wow.
So that no one else can see them.
Oh, shit.
And all the while, Rachel McAdams is trying to revive Doctor Strange's body on the table, okay? So they're fighting and shit, and they're knocking into vending machines, and this guy gets free chips because of it. And then, so she has to pull out those electro paddles to shock his heart. Mm-hmm. Okay, when she does that, his astral form feels the power, and he's like, and he comes back to her, and he's like, hey, do that again. She's like, no, it worked. Your heart's beating. And he's like, no. Turn the power way up. And do it again, please. And she's like, all right. So then he uses the energy, and then he kills the thug with it. So then he wakes up on the table, and he explains to her what he did. I went to Kathmandu, and I learned how to be a goddamn wizard. Okay, so, but anyway, there's this real bad guy, and he is going to try to fucking destroy the world. I love you, babe, but I gotta go. And the way I gotta go is through this portal that I conjured that is in the mop closet. And she's like, whatever, I don't believe you. And they opened up the thing, and there it is. He's like, all right, I'll see ya. And he goes through it, and then it just closes. So he goes back to the sanctum, he gets his cloak back, and he finds the prison suit empty. At that point, Chiwetel and the Ancient One come in, and they're like, hey, you got the cloak of levitation. And he's like, yeah, I do. And they're like, yeah, well, check it out, man. That's not easy because that thing's pretty picky, pretty fickle, all right? So you must be something special. Now, check this out. Every one of these sanctums has to have a master, okay? The other one was killed, and you defended this sanctum, and you did not die. You kind of kicked some ass. So now you're going to be the master of this sanctum. So you are Master Strange.
Wow.
And he's like, it's Doctor Strange! At that point, he accuses the Ancient One of dealing with Dormammu and, lying to everybody about it. Chiwetel is like, no way, man. She's cool. So then the Ancient One leaves, and he looks at Chiwetel. He's like, she is not what you think, man. All right, I'm just telling you. And he's like, fuck that. And they start arguing. And then all of a sudden, Caecilius and the Zealots return. So they all start fighting. And this time he's got Chiwetel with him to help him out. So they're all running through the streets and they're in the mirror dimension. So all the shit starts changing and they're chasing each other up and down buildings and crap. And all across all these weird fucking walkways, folding matter. And that's the, fucking Caecilius, he like separates the city into floating cubes. And that was a moment from the preview that we saw. That's a big Inception moment.
Yeah.
So then Strange and Chiwetel are like falling through it. It's fucking weird. Then they land in this one central area, and Caecilius is obviously he's got him by the balls, and he is going to kill them. And right then the Ancient One shows up and saves them and starts fighting him to defend them. Mm-hmm. So she does kick his ass, and he ends up escaping somehow. But then she turns around, and she has the fucking mark of Dormammu on her forehead. And Chiwetel is like, "It's fucking true, you bitch!" And she's like, "Yeah, you don't really understand. Sometimes you got to deal with darkness a little bit."
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, "Fuck that." Anyway, she ends up falling through a portal or something from something that Caecilius did. She falls through it. And she goes down and actually hits the real city street. Boom! Like she just jumped off a fucking building. Okay, so she's like fucked. Mm-hmm. So Strange picks her up, and he takes her back into the ER. And he's like looking at Rachel. He's like, "You gotta save her, save her, save her." And she's on the table, and they're trying to save her life and everything. And then Strange just like looks around, and there's like a flicker of the power. So then he just astral projects, and he sees the Ancient One in her astral form, like walking away from the room to go out and look at the balcony and look at the city and shit. And so they're out there talking, and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I've seen this moment so many times, over all these centuries and shit. I love this moment where it's snowing, but I've never been able to see past this moment." And he's like, "Oh, so you're thinking this is where you die?" And she's like, "Yep." She ends up telling him about that old patient, Pangborn, who fully healed his spine and everything through meditation. And she's like, "He never healed shit. He just uses magic to keep his body up." Oh. And to be honest, you could be doing that with your hands. You can use magic to make your hands normal so you can go back to being a dickhead. But do you really want to do that? And by now he's like invested, and he's part of the cause. So he's like, "Yeah, I guess not." She's like, "Yeah, I just want to watch the snow for a minute," or whatever. And then she fucking dies.
Oh.
After that, he's just standing out on that balcony by himself. So then it cuts to him scrubbing up after the surgery, with Rachel. And they have a little love moment, and then he has to go. So she leaves, and then he's walking away, and he puts his fucking cloak on, and then he pops the collar up. Boom! Just like in the comics. And as the collar is up after he pops it, the corners of the collar, like, reach over onto his face and wipe away his tears.
Aww.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And he's like, "Stop it, stop it." He's like always talking to it and shit. All right, so now we're in the third act, which is all about the Hong Kong Sanctum. Okay, because both the other two sanctums have been fucked with and destroyed. So now they got to go there, and they got to help out. It turns out that Wong is the master for the Hong Kong Sanctum. And he's like getting all of his people ready. He's like, "No one's coming in. Let's fucking kick these assholes' asses." And then Chiwetel and Strange get there, and everything is already destroyed when they come out of their portals, and it's all fucked. The city streets are all screwed. Everybody's dead. Okay, the Sanctum is in tatters, and now the Dark Dimension is coming through to our world, and Hong Kong is full of all these weird, wacky fucking visuals and tendrils and planets and shit. It's fucking weird. And Chiwetel, he's yelling about the Ancient One, and he's like, "Caecilius was her fault. Fuck that." And Strange is like, "Nah, man, you told me to fight. So come on, I need you." So they're like, "Fuck, man, we're too late. And then Caecilius is there, and he's like, "Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it wonderful? A world without time. It's going to be amazing, guys." And then him saying "without time," Doctor Strange is like, "Oh, shit. That's right. I'm still wearing this necklace. I can control time." So he fucking does that shit, puts the gauntlet on, and then he like turns time back and rebuilds fucking Hong Kong. Everything's going backwards, okay? All the water is coming back into the fucking fire hydrants. All the buildings are going back up and everything. And he uncovers some rubble and he finds Wong. He's able to revive him, and he's actually able to bring him into not going backwards, like to hang out with him while time is moving around them. Mm-hmm. Then they show Caecilius, and he's running backwards. Okay, he's stuck there. But then he's able to break free and then go ahead and start fighting Strange while all the city is moving backwards around him. He's able to imprison him inside of a wall that gets rebuilt. And at that point, that is when Caecilius says, "A world beyond death and time." And that gives Strange the idea to, oh, you know what? I'm just going to fucking fly away. And he flies up into space, okay, because he can fly with the cape. Mm-hmm. And he's flying through this dark dimension, and he goes towards that big pair of creepy eyes that he saw. And then he lands on this planet, and yep, the eyes were Dormammu.
And it's a big, giant, fucking scary-looking face.
Okay, he's a big celestial entity in this dimension. And he, like, lands on this little planet in front of him, and he's like, "Dormammu, I'm here to bargain." And he's like,
"You're here to die."
And then he kills Doctor Strange. And after he kills him, Doctor Strange comes and flies down and says, "Dormammu, I'm here to bargain."
"You're here to die." "Wait a minute, what the fuck? What's happening here?"
And he's like, "Yeah, see this right here, what I got here? I have the power of time, bitch. So guess what? Now you and me are stuck in this moment forever." And he's like,
"Well, then you'll die forever."
And then we get this big scene of Doctor Strange being killed over and over and over in like all these different fucked up ways.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then he keeps flying down, and now Dormammu is getting all pissed off, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? You know, fucking release me." And he's like, No. Now I want a bargain. He's like, "Fuck you, I will kill you forever." He does it once or twice more. And then he's like, "Because I have control over this time loop, that makes you my prisoner, motherfucker." Mm-hmm. And then Dormammu was like, "All right, what do you want? What do you want?" He's like, "I want you to take your zealots away from the Earth and never return. You do that, and I'll break the loop." And then it just cuts away to Doctor Strange back in Hong Kong confronting Caecilius. And then Caecilius is like, he's about to try to kick Strange's ass again, and then he just, stops, and he gets sucked backwards with all of his people back up into this fucking dark dimension, and then it just leaves. So he went off, and he was able to save everybody, save the day by sacrificing himself and not being a conceited prick, okay? And he was basically in hell, dying over and over and over. He was willing to put himself there, trap himself in that loop to save everybody. After that, they're like, "We won the day, Indy. Fuck yeah." Chiwetel is, of course, not happy because they had to break the laws of nature to do it, you know, and time travel and shit. And he's like, this isn't what I signed up for, assholes, and I will follow this path no longer. And Chiwetel, like, leaves the band. And they're like, "No, man." So then it cuts to Doctor Strange, and he's taking his necklace off, and he's putting it back on the altar. He's talking to Wong, and Wong's like, "Yeah, man, you really should put that back. It's probably best not to walk around the streets wearing an Infinity Stone."
Oh, shit.
And Doctor Strange is like, "What?" Yeah, it's the Stone of Time.
Oh, wow.
Which is one of the stones that Thanos wants for the gauntlet.
Shit.
So then it cuts back to the New York Sanctum, and Strange is there, and he puts his watch on, which is still all broken or whatever. He puts it on his hand, and his hands are still shaking. So he has chosen this path rather than faking, you know, using the magic just to make his hands work and become a dickhead doctor again. Okay?
Yeah.
He's going to be Doctor Strange, who is the master of the New York Sanctum. And is now with the Ancient One dead, he's probably going to be the Sorcerer Supreme. But time will tell on that one. So his hands are shaking. He's going ahead and letting them shake. And then the camera pulls back, and it sees him looking out the window, pulls back, and you see a view of New York City. And then you see the Sanctum with the big insignia on it. And also in the distance of every single city shot that we see of New York, you see Avengers Tower. Mm. And then the credits roll, man, and that is the end of the movie. Until the mid-credits stinger. And in this one, we see Doctor Strange, and he's just sitting in a chair, and he's talking to somebody. He's like, so, I've been keeping a watch list of, paranormal people and supernatural shit that might be a threat to the planet, and your brother is on it. Oh, by the way, would you like some tea? Here's some tea. And then it shows Thor, and he's holding this teacup, and he's like, yeah, I don't really drink tea. Okay. And he's like, oh, really? Well, what do you like? And he's like, well, I don't know, not tea. And then it just transforms into a beer mug, a giant one, in Thor's hand. And then he looks down at it, he's like, eee. And then he just like drinks the whole thing down in one lift. Okay? And then he sets it down and he like nods his head like, yeah, that was good beer. That was good beer. And then the glass just immediately refills by itself. And he's like, all right, cool. I like this guy. And so Doctor Strange is like, yeah, so your brother, he's on that list. So you want to tell me what the hell you guys are doing here on Earth? And then Thor's like, well, it's a really long story. It's, a lot of family drama, but basically we're looking for my father. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. Me and Loki, we're looking for Odin. And he's like, so once you guys find Odin, you're going to leave? You're going to get the hell off of my planet? You're going to go back to Asgard? And he's like, yeah, I promise. And then Doctor Strange stands up and he just goes, well, then allow me to help. And then it cuts off. So Doctor Strange is going to be a part of Thor Ragnarok, hopefully.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Doctor Strange on Movies with Ron.
Good job, man.
Yeah. I liked this one, man.
Yeah. Be interesting to see the Avengers movies with all that changing of the gravity and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to be in that shit.
Yeah, I hope they do that.
Yeah.
This movie kind of changed everything for the Avengers universe. It's I really don't have any idea what to expect now.
Yeah, it kind of seems like no one can beat Doctor Strange.
Yeah. That's cool, though. Damn, this was fun.
Yeah, it seems like a good movie.
Well, all right.
You guys want to play a game?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. So we had to make sequels to Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah.
Rick, you're up, baby.
Okay. This is Days of Thunder 2.
Damn, man, I wanted Days of Thunder.
I don't know what to call it, though. Days of Thunder 2, An Hour of Lightning. Okay.
About Weeks of Thunder.
Okay, so remember at the end of the first movie, Tom Cruise, or Cole Trickle, he won the race against Carrie Elways, who was Russ Wheeler in that film. The only way that he could do it was if he was in Rowdy Burns' car, Michael Rooker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Couldn't race anymore. So he did it, and Harry Hogg, who was his racing captain, you remember the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's crew chief.
So this is a couple of years after that. He's done NASCAR, and he's pretty good at it. And his wife left him, Dr. Claire Lewicki.
Okay.
You remember Nicole Kidman?
Yeah. Because she would never be in it. Not now.
Why not?
And Harry Hogg has passed away. And there's kind of nothing for him to do anymore. So he goes back to, at the beginning of the film, of the first film, he said he was open wheel racing, like F1 type stuff. Well, he goes to do F1 and gets back in it. And I can't remember how to do it because he's used to driving stock cars.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out a lot of the details of the movie, but he's going to
win the cup.
find a new crew chief, and one of the guys who's like kind of the bad guy of the film, as it turns out, is Carrie Elways. So they go neck and neck again, and
You made me spill my macchiato.
and it comes to the last race. They just about kill each other, and they're like the two badasses in the entire race. And this other racer starts winning and starts beating their asses out of nowhere.
Ricky Bobby.
It's just some
young guy.
made up name. And he wins, and they both lose. And come to find out, at the end, Carrie Elways and Tom Cruise are like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's standing up there with the trophy and whatnot, and turns out it's Michael Rooker,
Jeez.
Oh, Jesus.
who
He's still alive? Didn't he have like terminal brain cancer in the first movie?
He got better.
Okay.
He found,
Doctor Strange helped him.
found the Taj Mahal or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Taj Mahal. All right, man. Cool.
Days of Thunder 2. All right.
What you got?
Since I couldn't have Days of Thunder, and I didn't want to go to, any of his big sci-fi ones, Eyes Wide Shut. 2. Only this one's just called Eyes Wide Open.
Isn't the original a play on of that phrase?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's still called that.
All right. You ever seen the Eyes Wide Shut?
Of course.
All right.
All right, so in mine, the first one was all about Tom Cruise trying to infiltrate that secret sex orgy society.
Okay.
All right, now, in mine, because Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise can't be in the same room together, this one's about Nicole Kidman. And Tom Cruise, after the first movie, he ended up getting called to go help some super rich guy because he was a doctor, okay?
Yeah.
And he gets called away in the night to go and do a house call, and then he never comes home. So then the whole movie long, Nicole Kidman is looking for him and searching for him and shit. And she ends up having weird sexual encounters,
Okay.
like you do in these movies. She finally infiltrates. She has to go undercover into another one of those secret sex balls. Okay. So she goes in there. She gets found out, but then she makes it down into the inner sanctum, and she finds the leader of the cult. Okay, and instead of being some rich high society guy, he's a big frog lizard man, and he's the one who's controlling everything. Okay, and he needed Tom Cruise. He needed his help. I don't know, fucking laying a fucking egg. I don't fucking know.
Because Tom Cruise was a doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway,
Laying a fucking,
yeah,
they lay like 100 eggs at a time.
I guess
He needs a doctor for
Yeah.
that shit.
Oh yeah.
If he's like a life-size
I was
frog
playing
guy.
around with the idea of Tom Cruise being one of many Tom Cruise clones. Like everybody at the party, they take off their mask and they're all Tom Cruise. Okay. And then I was also playing around with the idea of Tom Cruise somehow like being in some sort of sexual bondage to the lizard man. You know? And then Nicole Kidman deciding to leave him there.
That's the only way I'll do this movie.
Yep.
Okay.
There you have it. Eyes wide open.
All right.
What do you got?
Those will be hard to beat. I was excited about this, but now I'm not.
Why?
I chose Legend.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. That's like
Yeah,
awesome
fucking great
shit.
movie. Yeah. It's called Legends. All right. Do we remember Blix,
Oh, yeah.
the head goblin?
Blix.
Blix and his friends survive. You never
Yeah.
find out what happens to him.
That's right.
Okay. So we start out where he's searching the underworld. We've never seen the underworld before. We saw the tree.
Yeah.
He's searching the underworld for Darkness, and he finds him.
Okay.
Darkness is dead, and he cuts off his horns.
Who?
Blix cuts off Darkness's big black horns.
Okay.
There's
Give
a
me some-
lot. There's a lot of horns in mine.
He's like, give me some help with this shit. It's like 6 feet long, man. His pig friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, come on.
All right. Do we remember Nell?
The girl?
Nell was the woman in the cottage that Lily went to visit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Nell has been sick. This is kind of backstory. Her husband is dead, and Princess Lily has given up her crown to live at the poor cottage and take care of her.
Okay.
All right. But an exotic foreign king visits Lily for one day each year, and they've fallen in love throughout the years.
What about Jack?
Yeah, what about Jack? All right.
That's the name of this movie.
What about Jack? Okay, so when Nell dies, and her parting words to Lily are, Lily, you're still so innocent. All right. Lily packs up her things because as soon as the foreign exotic king gets there, she's going to go live with him.
Okay.
So the king arrives, and before they leave the land, he asks to see the unicorns that she always speaks of.
Oh, all right.
So reluctantly, she shows him because she's still innocent.
Okay.
The king draws his sword and cuts off the first unicorn's horn.
Oh, Jesus.
The king is revealed to be Blix,
Oh.
who's been focusing what little spell magic he has left 364 days a year, so he can be Lily's king for a day,
Okay.
all to get to the unicorns.
All right.
Because he's not innocent. He can't find them. She has to lead him there.
Right.
So Lily's horrified. Blix uses the horn to paralyze the second unicorn and cuts off that horn too. It's a sequel. You got one unicorn horn in the first one. You need two in this one.
Yeah.
The world changes around them as Blix attaches Darkness's horns to the unicorns.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, transforming them into hell beasts.
Okay.
And now he and Lily can rule over all of existence forever.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So then.
Because he just wants what Darkness wanted. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, but then a mysterious man and
So,
woman
wait,
show up.
Darkness is just in hell with no horns?
Yeah, he's dead.
Okay.
He's dead. He's gone.
All right.
You feel sorry for him. He ain't got no horns.
Yeah, man.
It's disrespectful. But then a mysterious man and woman show up, and they're like, not so fast, Blix. They want the horns, the unicorn horns. There's lots of horns in this. For the magic they possess to try and resurrect their son. So
Okay.
this man and woman are mother and father Darkness. They're his
What?
parents.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. So Darkness was like an evil Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Lily runs for it into the woods with one thing on her mind. Find Jack,
Hell yeah.
who she hasn't seen in forever. All right. Blix realizes his magic is more powerful because he's got the unicorn horn, so he's like, disappears. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Father and Mother Darkness are left with the Hell Beasts,
Yeah.
who have powers of their own.
Okay.
So they whisper in the beast's ears, and every demon and goblin in the underworld rise out of the dirt, hell-bent on finding Blix.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they need the unicorn horns. So they mount they climb on top of the hell beasts, and they are the new bad guys of the story.
Okay.
All right. So Lily's running through the forest. She's overcome by goblins and demons, and then ta-da! Jack jumps in.
Yeah.
Right. And he saves her before it's too late. He's got a Duck Dynasty beard through the whole movie.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a new look for Tom Cruise, and
Okay.
he's going to make it work. He's older, and they no longer know each other. All right.
Yeah.
They never ended up together. Like Jack's words in the first film, I'm no prince. I'm just Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
Just
never ended up. At the end of the first movie, they're not together. She's like, can I come back tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, sure. She goes off, and then he goes off by himself.
All right.
Yeah, that's what happens. All right. This time, Jack is leading a group of forest people.
Yeah.
All right. You never see any other forest people in the first movie. So
Right.
the universe gets bigger. They battle evil hordes and make their way to the forest city. All right. Jack gives her the cold shoulder because, she's the one always getting the world in trouble.
Yeah.
But she meets the Grand Elder in the forest city who's sick, and he tells her that if it weren't for the first movie, Jack wouldn't be like the leader that he is now. All right.
Yeah.
That was his test.
Got it.
When the elder dies, Jack will be king of the forest people, and this movie is his final test,
Okay.
Then Pig shows up. He's carrying Blix, who is almost dead, and the two unicorn horns, saying the horns led them to the forest city. Blix gives the horns to Jack and says, fix this shit, and then he dies. Everyone wonders what to do, so Jack uses the horns and brings back Gump, Brown Tom, Screwball, and Blunder.
All right.
All right? They know exactly what to do.
Okay.
So the gang's back together.
Hell yeah.
30 years later. Then Act 2 happens. The hard part. Trials,
This
tribulations.
movie's like 6 hours long.
No, that was just Act 1.
Okay.
Okay, battles are won and lost. Jack and Lily start to fall for each other again. All right. Act 3. I don't know. At one point, I wanted Jack to put the unicorn horns on Darkness's head, the dead Darkness.
Yeah.
And turn him into something good
Yeah.
to defeat his parents. But then I was like, there's too many fucking horns in this movie. Anyways, Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack, and that's all you need to know.
Legends can be now and forever.
Doobie doobie doo.
For goodness sake.
All right.
Love that shit.
That's Legends.
All right, man. Good job. Good job.
All right.
I think you might have won this one.
Good.
Fuck you.
All right, guys. If you like what you hear, leave a rating and a review. We'd much appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Movies with Ron. Just search for that. All right. It's been fun.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Movies with Ron.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Then the rest of the credits happen, and there's a final stinger at the end.
Jeez.
Yeah. And it's, okay, real quick. It's in a foggy room, okay? And you see a portal being conjured, and it looks like a big ring of sparks, okay? That's what they always look like whenever they're conjuring portals. And then as the camera focuses, we see that it's just some dude sharpening a tool on a grinding wheel. And it turns out that it's Pangborn, that old patient who's just using magic to walk around. He then gets accosted by Chiwetel, who's like, yeah, you're using magic to be an asshole and for personal gain. And I've decided that, that's a problem. All you bastard sorcerers who are doing this shit, breaking the laws of nature and everything, and I've decided that there is one solution to it. And the guy's like, well, what's that? He's like, no more sorcerers. And then it cuts off. And that's the end. So Chiwetel's going to be a bad guy.